Hello viewers, we will cover again some more definitions under this unit of subject indirect tax 1 for 5th semester students affiliated to University of Mysore. The terms we were discussing here is about intrastate supply of goods and also on the concept of to levy the IGST, SGST and UTGST. The learning objective is to understand the meaning of this term and secondly to know the concept for the purpose of levying the GST, that is IGST, SGST and UTGST. Outcome is it helps the students to understand the concept, to know the meaning and also to apply the GST liability by understanding the term of intrastate supply of goods and services. Here before that, moving to know about the meaning of intrastate supply. It is better to understand the meaning of the supply. Goods and service tax. Goods and service tax means a tax on supply of goods or services or both. Except tax on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption of the Constitution of India, which is instituted, whichever is earlier on 16/9/2016. Goods and service tax is levied on the principle of the destination-based consumption taxation, as against the earlier principles of the origin-based taxation. In case of sale of goods, it is applicable on the supply of goods or services. The levy of GST, it is based on the term supply. It means the GST is levied, which is based on the principle of the term supply. Taxability under the GST, it depends upon the supply of goods and services. Here we should know the meaning of the term supply to levy the GST liability. The term supply means, I told that it is the term which includes the sales, any purchase, sale, seller, buyer, provision of service, service provider, service receiver, manufacturer, and manufacturers are irrelevant for the purpose of GST. Therefore, the first step is to know whether a person who is engaged in the business has made any supply of goods or services and whether these supplies are taxable under the GST. The supply means it includes all forms of supply and includes agreeing supply when they are for the consideration. The supply means it has to fulfill certain conditions, that is the supply should be the supply of goods or services. Secondly, there must be a consideration, and thirdly, it is done with the objective for the furtherance of your business, and whatever the supply is made, it has to be within the taxable territory only, and whatever the supply is made, that is to be only the taxable supply. ಇದ್ಯಾಕೊಳ್ಳೆ ಹಿಂದೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಲಿ, ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ತಿಂಗಳು ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕುಣಿತಾ ಇದೆ. Supply must be a taxable supply and the supply must be made by a taxable person. Supply maybe it takes the form of, I told, maybe the supply form may be a sale or a transfer or barter or exchange or license or any rental, lease or disposal. And the supply, the element that must be required to be satisfied under the definition of supply is that consideration. Since the taxable event on supply is mainly on consideration, it is good to understand the definition of the consideration. In the Act Section 2 subsection 28, the term consideration in relation to the supply of goods and services to any person includes that any payment made or to be made, whether in money or otherwise, in response to or for the inducement of the supply of goods or services, whether by the said person or by any other person. Secondly, the monetary value of any act or forbearance, whether or not voluntary in response to or for the inducement of the supply of goods and services, whether by the said person or by any other person. Uh, Here again one term is the deposit consideration, whether the it provides that a deposit, whether refundable or not, given in respect to the supply of goods and services, shall not be considered as payment made for the supply unless the supplier applies the deposit as a consideration for his supply. And again, next one more term we have to understand here about the supply is about the deemed supply. It provides that where a person acting as an agent who for an agreed commission or brokerage either supplies or receives any goods or services on behalf of any principal, the transaction between such principal and agent shall be deemed to be a supply. Here I told deemed supply means any person acting as agent for an agreed commission or for the brokerage. Intrastate supply of goods. Intrastate supply of goods, it have the same meaning as it is given under section 8 of the IGST Act. It provides that intrastate supply means any supply of goods or services where location of the supplier and place of supply are in the same state or in the same union territory. However, supply of goods and services or by a SEZ developer or to or by an SEZ unit will not be considered as an intrastate supply. Intrastate supply, I told, means supply of goods or services where location of the supplier means it is the place of the supplier and the place of supply are in the same state, means the recipient and the supplier of the goods, if they are located in the same state, or if it is union territory means if the supplier and the recipient, if they are located in the same union territory, then that transactions or that kind of supply we treat it as a intrastate supply. At the same time, if any goods or services supplied by SEZ developers means special economic zone developers or by a SEZ special economic zone unit will not be considered as an intrastate supply. And we'll see what are the taxes that is levied for the transactions of the intrastate supply of goods. The taxes levied is the SGST and CGST. CGST means Central Goods and Service Tax is levied. SGST means State Goods and Service Tax is levied if any intrastate supply of goods takes place. Here these two taxes is treated as a dual GST, means a dual GST is levied at a time both by the central government and by the state government, and the equal percentage of tax is shared both by the state government and by the central government. Suppose the tax rate is GST rate is 18%, means equal percentage is levied at a time, that is 9% by the central government, that is CGST, and 8% by the state government, that is SGST. Transactions of intrastate supply of goods. These are some examples I am quoting here about the with respect to the intrastate supply of goods to understand the concept clearly. Supplied goods to Mysore, from Mysore to Hubli for 30 lakh, means here the supplier is from Mysore, he is supplying to Hubli, the recipient is located in Hubli, the place of supply is Mysore and the recipient is in Hubli. means they are located in the same state of Karnataka, means this transaction is treated as intrastate supply. Supplied agricultural goods from Mysore to Bangalore. So there is one mistake. Supplied agricultural goods from Mysore to Bangalore for 10 lakh. Here the location of the supplier is Mysore, and the goods are sold or supplied to the place of Bangalore. Here both the supplier and the recipient, again they are located in the same state of Karnataka. So it is a intrastate transaction. And again, if any goods supplied within the same union territories, then it also is treated as a intrastate supply. And any branch transfer of goods within the same state or within the same union territories. Here branch transfer from one branch to another branch, from the head office of the supplier to his branches which is located in the another place of the same state or of the same union territory, is also considered as a intrastate supply of goods. Next, transactions not regarded as intrastate supply. So we will see what are the transactions which we cannot treat as a intrastate supply. Suppose goods purchased from a dealer from foreign country. Here if any goods are purchased from a dealer who is located in foreign country, here the place of supply is totally different. The recipient location is in different, and the recipient supplier's location is different. Means they are not located either in same state or in the same union territory. Then it cannot be considered as a intrastate supply. Second is exported goods to USA. Here the goods are exported from our country to USA. Here the place of location of the supplier is one country and the recipient place is another country. The place of location is different and it is not in the same state or in the same union territory. So that transaction is also cannot be treated as intrastate supply. Next, rendering services between two union territories. When it comes between two union territories, I told the transaction must be within the same union territory. It has to be in the one union territory only. Then if it is two union territory, means it comes to the another type of transactions that we call it as a interstate transactions or interstate supply, which we will discuss it later. So here this transaction is not a intrastate supply. And again, any branch transfer between two states or between two union territories. So here the supplier's branch, if it is located in different places, if it is located in different states, means then it is not a intrastate. If his branches, the branches of supplier, if is located in the different places of one state, then it is a intrastate supply. And again, supply of goods to SEZ. So if we supply any goods to the special economic zone or special economic unit, then also it is not considered as a intrastate supply. So these are some transactions which we can treat as a intrastate supply and which is not as a intrastate supply. So thank you.